And so, yeah, we'll move on to the next.
Sounds good. Our next part of the discussion is this conflict, this tension between keeping the SME secure and keeping the SME employees productive and giving them that seamless experience, making them productive and protected. And look, that's been the challenge forever. Deloitte has this really wonderful, simple way of thinking about innovation. They say innovation is something that eliminates a trade-off. In retail, I had to compromise around location. Mobile technology comes around and location is no longer a compromise. Or in physical mechanics, that super strong, lightweight material, that galvanized plastic with threads of titanium that's in your iPhone case, like that innovation, that resolves the trade-off between being lightweight and being durable. And what we're seeing in the SME world right now is we're resolving that trade-off, that tension between being secure and being easy, because those two things don't often go together. And that's really the massive focus for 2022. So as an SME IT admin, if you want to focus on one of the top priorities, it's finding that balance and solving for that. Now, again, we asked, what about security are you most worried about? And not surprising, we saw spear phishing, ransomware, and unsecured networks ranked pretty highly as the top three. And the horror stories speak for themselves: SolarWinds, Colonial Pipeline hack, and the other things we read about. That's going to keep folks up at night. And you can see there are a lot of other security issues that are going on here, but going after people, targeting people very carefully, that is far and away like the top concern. And then ransomware and having unsecured networks, it's just a big worry for people, especially for an SME that's high growth, adding a lot of new people. You know, human beings are still the #1 most vulnerable target. This computer up here, the human brain, that is the least protected of all computers because it's got not the same security protections. It's just easy to trick people. But these are the concerns that colleagues in the SME IT world have. And doing that while everyone is in unpredictable places, on unpredictable networks sometimes, that makes it even more of a priority. Overwhelmingly, we saw that people agreed or strongly agreed that remote hybrid work makes security even more important. So if you are one of those minority SME IT organizations that hasn't increased your focus on security, this is telling you it is now by far and away the industry norm. The fundamental challenge is how to make this easier for SME IT admins to manage. They know it's the job, but the question is, how do we make this easier to do? And how do you get people on your own company, to the previous question, how do you get them to stop making it harder? Even if they're not going to do something to make it easier, ask them to stop doing the things that make it harder. We also saw that the remote work makes it harder for the employees to do the right thing. And that's because they're not as part of this, one consistent system with one consistent processes. It's easier to sort of just drift off and do your own thing when you're working so remotely. So again, overwhelmingly, you see agree or strongly agree that this is an issue when we're having this hybrid work from anywhere environment, and additional security measures is really the focus here, without making things harder for the user or the admin. And again, there's no surprise on this one. I mean, necessity is the mother of invention. And for the last 2 years, we have had one big mean mother leading to all kinds of quick innovations. And now we're sorting out, how do we make that secure and how do we make it easy? One more look here is that adding security just makes it harder. So not only does remote work make security more important, adding security makes an easy user experience difficult. This is the contradiction. I mean, this is the juggling act. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube that's fighting back, to quote Q from one of my favorite Bond movies. So this is a huge issue. And Ben, anything you want to add to this conundrum of making the user experience easier and how to make it more secure at the same time?
I mean, ease of use and security seems like an oxymoron to me personally, right? But you start to get a lot of questions from people. Well, how can I do that? How can I start to bring parity to that, and they start asking questions around zero trust and conditional access within that identity and access management framework. Those are things that start to make things a little bit easier. And as IT admins start to learn more about this and feel more comfortable with it, you can start to see this being a little bit more applied next year. So.
And it's especially going to come into play when you look at the rise of zero trust. That's what's behind a lot of the zero trust, is that zero trust is going to help me resolve that tension between ease of use and security. So it's less of an oxymoron. And so you look at this, more than half of the folks we surveyed in October said that they plan to or are pursuing a zero trust approach to security right now. Maybe 1 in 5 said no, but the other 1 in 5 said not sure, but are still open to it. There is a real push toward adopting zero trust for that reason. And Ben, if I'm not mistaken, it's a topic that JumpCloud is going to talk about more next month.
Yeah, so keep an eye out on our webpage for a Zero Trust webinar invite sometime in January. It's going to talk through how to approach it, how to shift from planning to a pragmatic action items. It's a critical tool, not just a buzzword. So be on the lookout for that, especially if you're in that I don't know or no category. I would definitely go take a look at that webinar sometime in January.
Yeah, and the chart's not on the screen here, but just to share one other insight on security, we saw that about 46% of the folks we talked to had already integrated some multi-factor authentication, some MFA across all their application, and 43% had integrated MFA across at least some of their applications. The point being, there's a lot of activity in the SME sector for how do I make this easier and more secure at the same time, and zero trust is just, it's going to play a huge role. And if you're one of the folks that either haven't considered it yet or haven't adopted it yet, and you want to explore that more, the webinar next month is going to help you with that. But here you see the numbers around multi-factor authentication, and the fact that it's so required across everything, or at least across some, and it's very low percentage that said we don't plan to implement. So it's pretty standard. Most folks are using it, and it's because of the need to balance that complexity and that security.
Please subscribe and check out more content from us.